Are you staring at Form W-9 feeling completely lost? Or maybe you're wondering, what's the deal with all these tax forms anyways? Don't worry, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to be going over a detailed review of the W-9 step by step, so you clearly understand what you're completing it, or you can communicate to those contractors that you're sending it to on what it's about. So whether you're a freelancer or a business owner, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Kevin Andrade. I'm a CPA licensed in the state of Maryland, but I work with clients all over the country. With over 10 years of experience, I've been helping small business owners and high-income W-2 earners legally and proactively reduce their taxes. You see, my goal is simple. I want to make taxes easier and keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket. So if you want tax tips to grow your wealth and save on taxes, please subscribe. With that said, let's dive into the video. So what exactly is a Form W-9? Think of it as a way of communicating to the IRS on who you are and what you're about. It's what your clients and financial institutions need to file tax forms such as a 1099 NEC. Without that form, they can't report your income, which would lead to underreporting income, which would lead to penalties. And I hate IRS penalties. So if you pay contractors or receive self-employed income, a W-9 is a must. So now I'm going to switch over to my computer so I can share my screen and we can walk through a W-9 together. So first things first, you can find the IRS form W-9 by simply just Googling it. You want to make sure you select the W-9 from the IRS website directly, which will always be irs.gov. Be careful for websites that have scams, so you want to make sure you always go to the irs.gov website. Now that we have the W-9 in front of us, let's walk through it line by line. So I want to walk through line 1 and 2 together. And the reason why is because they really go hand in hand. I'm going to walk you through different scenarios on when to enter each individual line. So line 1 is pretty self-explanatory. You have to put the name of the entity or the individual. This line is required. Line number 2 is when you have a DBA or doing business as name or a business name or a disregarded entity name. We'll come back to this in a moment. So to best understand on what to enter in line 1 and line 2, let's go over some scenarios. So scenario 1, if you're an individual or a sole proprietor, that means you're not operating a business, nor do you have a DBA. So in line 1, you want to enter the full legal name as it appears on your social security card. For example, if your name is John A. Smith, you'll go ahead and enter John A. Smith, John A. Smith. And that's it, and you leave line 2 completely empty. Scenario number 2, you're a sole proprietor with a DBA, which stands for doing business as. So you want to still use your personal name here in line 1, as the IRS recognizes sole proprietors by their individual name, not the business name. So go ahead and put John A. Smith. And on line 2, you go ahead and enter the DBA business name. In this example, we'll put Smith Consulting. Scenario number 3, if you are a single member LLC, you automatically default for tax purposes as a sole proprietor. What does that mean? That means you'll enter the same information from scenario 2, which let's recap. Line 1 will be your individual name, so John A. Smith in this example, and line 2 will be Smith Consulting LLC. It's the only difference. Scenario number 4, if you're a corporation, C-corp or S-corp. On line 1, you want to enter the legal business name of the corporation as registered with the IRS. For example, if the corporation is registered as Tech Innovators, Inc., and that's what you'll write on line 1, and you'll leave line 2 blank. Scenario number 5, if you are a partnership, you want to enter the legal name of the partnership as it appears on the partnership's tax return. For example, if the partnership is named ABC Ventures, you will write ABC Ventures on line 1. Scenario number 6, if you are an LLC taxed as a partnership or corporation. So on line 1, you want to enter the legal business name. For example, if your LLC is Smith Consulting LLC, taxed as an S corporation or as a partnership, that's all you need to write is Smith Consulting LLC on line 1. Moving on to box 3A, which is a federal tax classification. This is where you identify your tax classification to tell the IRS how you are taxed. So let's break it down. The first option is individual sole proprietor. You want to check this box off if you're an individual or freelancer filing taxes using your social security number, or you are a sole proprietor whether or not you have a DBA, or you are a single member LLC taxed as a sole proprietorship. The second option you see is a C corporation, which is pretty self-explanatory. If your business is a C corporation, for example, the Tech Innovators Inc., if your business is a C corporation, you go ahead and check this off. The third option here is S corporation. You want to check this box if your business has elected to be taxed as an S corporation, meaning income passes through to the owners for personal taxation. For example, if Smith Consulting LLC elected to be taxed as an S corporation, and here's a hint, people get confused on S-corp all the time, especially with this box right here, which we'll get to in a moment. The next box is a partnership. So if it's a general partnership, for example, ABC Ventures or Smith Consulting has 2 partners or more, then you want to make sure you mark this checkbox for partnership. The last one on this row is trust or estate. Pretty self-explanatory. If you're a trust or estate, check this off. Now, this is where the row that causes so much confusion, and I don't know why the IRS did this. So we have LLC, and you have to enter the tax classification. So in the scenario where you're an LLC elected to be or classified as another type of entity, you want to go ahead and check off this LLC. Now, this is where the confusion comes because most of the time you will be an LLC taxed as something else if you elect to be so. For example, an LLC elected to be taxed as a C corporation, an LLC elected to be taxed as an S corp, or an LLC that is a partnership. So why the heck do you have these options up here if you're asking for this option here? If your LLC elected to be taxed as another type of entity. Who knows? IRS is weird. Ideally, I recommend my clients to check off this box versus one of these 3. The reason why is because you are an actual classification. If you are an LLC electing to be taxed as a C, S, or if you're a partnership LLC. Now, if you're an LLC elected to be taxed as a C corporation, you simply just add a C here on this row. Same thing as a S for S corporation and P for partnership. Please note, if you're a single member LLC and you are not elected to be taxed as one of these 3 entities, do not check off this box. You will go ahead and check off individual sole proprietor instead. The last section in 3A is other, and honestly, I've never used it. I don't expect you guys to use it either. Moving on to box 4, we have exemptions. For a majority of individuals and small businesses, you will leave this blank. This only applies to certain exempt entities such as government agencies or nonprofits. Box 3B is whether you're a partnership, a trust or estate that has foreign partners, foreign owners, or foreign beneficiaries, meaning folks outside of the US, you want to check this box. And then this is a whole other thing. You want to make sure you read the IRS instructions, which we won't get into for this specific scenario. I went a little bit out of order, but I think you get the gist. So line 5 and 6 are pretty self-explanatory. You want to enter the address associated with either the individual or the business name. Keep in mind the address that you enter in line 5 and 6, that's where the tax forms will most likely be mailed to, and it will be sent to the IRS. So they will have that income reported to that address. This section right here, requester's name and address, you can leave this blank. Line 7, same thing. I'll only focus on the required fields that are applicable to 95% of you. Moving on to part 1. Now, this part is critical. In the taxpayer identification number section, you either use your social security number or your employer identification number. But depending on the 6 scenarios that we went through, it'll be different. So let's walk through the scenarios now. So going back to scenario 1, where you're a sole proprietor or an individual with no EIN, you want to use your social security number in this section. Scenario number 2, if you're a sole proprietor with an EIN, so you may have a DBA for your business name, however, you don't have any formal entity created. You want to continue to use your social security number. So even though you may have an EIN, the correct way per the IRS instructions are to enter the social security number if you are a sole proprietor with an EIN. Scenario number 3 is if you're a single member LLC with no elections, that means you're defaulted to be taxed as a sole proprietor. In this scenario, you have to also use your social security number. Because you are a disregarded entity for tax purposes, you're deemed as a sole proprietor and you want to continue to use your social security number, even though your business may have an EIN, you're a single member LLC. Scenario number 4, you're an LLC taxed as a partnership or corporation. In this scenario, you want to go ahead and use your EIN. So this applies to partnerships, S corporations, and C corporations. Again, an LLC elected to be taxed as a partnership or corporation. Scenario number 5, you are a partnership. You want to use your EIN number for your partnership. And lastly, scenario number 6, if you're a C corporation and S corporation with your state, use the EIN assigned to the corporation. So to summarize everything I just walked through, I created this small, simple summary table that feel free to screenshot for future use. It walks through all the scenarios we just talked about for the entity types, the line number for line number 1, what to enter there, line number 2, what to enter there, and what tax identification number to use. Finally, we're at the bottom of the form in the certification section. When you sign this, you're telling the IRS that 1, the information you provide is accurate. 2, you are not subject to any backup withholdings, which most of the time you won't be unless you really messed up somehow. Majority of you won't be. And number 3, if you are a US citizen or resident. There's a number 4, but honestly, it's too technical. It's not going to be applicable for a majority of people. And lastly, we have the sign here section, where you're going to go ahead and physically or digitally sign and date this form. But don't forget to send this form directly to the person or company requesting it, especially if any of this information has changed. You want to make sure the most up-to-date W-9 is sent to the individual or company. And this W-9 form is not for the IRS. It's for the person that's requesting it, typically for internal purposes, so you can properly issue the proper tax forms. And if you have any further questions on what did I just say, there are general instructions at the bottom that are pretty lengthy and go into detail in various scenarios on the form W-9 with the IRS instructions. All right, you're officially a W-9 expert now. If you found this video helpful, click that like button and subscribe for more tax tips, strategies, and solutions. If you're a W-2 earner or business owner making more than $250,000 per year and interested in becoming a client, click the link in the description to apply to be a client today. Until the next video, take care.